Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Fred Wellman. You are here for Too Late to Cancel on Sunday, on Easter Sunday. We've got a different kind of show this week because it is a holiday. So we wanted to actually give our team off to go enjoy a holiday brunch and some time with family. Even I will probably, but we wanted you guys to as well. But we still wanted to have something for you. So what we've done, and producer JJ is the man. JJ's put together an amazing show from some of our favorite moments in the, well, now almost 4 months that we've been broadcasting. Versus on Democracy Sunday. And now as Too Late to Cancel, your favorite Sunday show every Sunday. We just launched the new brand. We're loving it. I hope you are loving it too. We had an incredible first show. You'll see some clips from that too. But I just want to kind of say welcome. I hope you're having a good holiday with your families, enjoying your week off. In the meantime, we will be back live again next week. But before we get all that, let's go ahead and I want to kind of just show you what you've been missing if you haven't been catching all the shows. We've had some incredible guests, incredible interviews, newsmakers, politicians, thinkers, famous people, you name it, we've got it all. Here's a few clips from our very favorite interviews. Now, if you know the format of the show, we have 2 guests per show. We'll do an interview, we'll do a guest, and then in the middle, we've got a panel. But first, let's look at some of my favorite interviews from the last 4 months of Too Late to Cancel. It's great to talk to you. Welcome to On Democracy Sunday.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, interesting time. I mean, yeah. And it's, on Friday, they passed the CR. I find myself still baffled by what just happened in the Senate. I mean, you too, probably.
Well, I'm not that baffled. I mean, I know the players.
Yeah.
Schumer is a great tactician, and he's been a great leader in the Senate, but he has no conception of what it's going to take to get the Democratic Party. His life is day to day in the Senate, and he's been effective. But in this case, I always say that Washington is basically middle school on steroids. They're hardworking, they're really smart, and it's all about them all the time. So his sort of field of vision is very constrained, and that's mainly the main problem with the Democratic Party. It's a Washington-centric party. We just haven't gotten out and done the work in the grassroots for a long time.
Yeah, and I live out there. We were talking in the pre-show. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I can say that I led a protest. We had 500 people show up outside the VA hospital here in St. Louis, and it's about the cuts to the VA, but it was just anger. I mean, they're average Americans who lived here in Illinois and Missouri. They're very angry right now. It just feels like the Democrats in the Senate, especially in Congress, they really seem to be missing the boat. The level of angst and worry and seriously flat out anger out here. There's a disconnect. I can't get over it.
There's a tremendous disconnect, and it's much worse on the Democratic side than it is on the Republican side. The Republicans because they have so much money because they are backed by all the gazillionaires in the country. This is definitely not in the interest of the people who are voting for Republicans, but you can't tell them that. But they have so much money, for about 20. If you go back to Gore versus Bush, where the court elected Bush president on a 5-4 partisan majority, that was that was the culmination. Now, I actually think Bush would have won anyway had they stuck to the constitutional course, which we won't go into. But basically, there's a process for electing a president when the electoral votes aren't clear, and they stole the election is what they did. And Bush would have been president anyway, I suspect. But now look at it. And now you've got a Supreme Court that doesn't represent anybody except the right wing of the Republican Party. 2 of them are apparently on the take in some way. Yeah. And you've got a guy, an unelected guy running the government, telling who can work and who can't. This is nuts. And they don't give a damn about the United States of America. They only care about themselves. And it's a real problem. But the problem with the Democrats is here's what we have to do to win. And it's what the Republicans did do 20 years ago, which was smart. If you are only a Washington party, which is essentially what we are and what we've trained our donors to be, then you're the label of the Democratic Party is what the Republicans say it is. It's their message, and they're very good at messaging. Unpatriotic, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Okay. We need to be at the doors of every person. And I do not mean knocking on doors 5 weeks before the presidential election or the congressional election. I mean every second. And the way you do that is actually, you're from Missouri. Okay. Yep. There was a guy in Missouri around Columbia someplace, and the Missouri School of Journalism, which is a very good journalism school at the University of Missouri in Columbia, wrote about this. Some young guy wanted to run for the legislature. Missouri is a pretty red state. and he knocked on doors and got his butt kicked. And then 2 years later, or whatever, he did it again. And 3 years, and the next time around, he won because his opponent got himself in some trouble and people were sick of it. Now the brand of the Democratic Party in his district is this kid who grew up with us, went to school with us, who we taught, and is now one of us. He's
Steven Weber. He's a dear friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine. He's a former Marine. He's a former Marine, and he doesn't know the word quit. That's exactly it, sir.
But this is crazy. This is what we do is insane. You come in, and the big donors are part of the problem. We schmooze them. Oh, I told Senator so-and-so the other day. Well, I spoke to the president. Well, that's great. It doesn't get you elected, and that's why we are where we are. And until we change that, it's not going to get better. And I don't care how many people go to Washington and give big, long speeches. It's not going to happen.
I love it. And, I feel like they just taught the Republicans an important lesson too, right? They no longer had to be afraid of the Senate. I mean, I saw a post, like somebody somebody told a reporter, the Republican told a reporter, but now we get it. If we can get it past the House, because even the House was briefly scared. They used to be scared of the Senate. They didn't want to pass stuff that would fail in the Senate. We just taught them, if they keep that crazy caucus of theirs together, don't worry, Senate Dems will collapse. I mean, they did.
And they did. And I don't understand it fully. I understand what Schumer was probably doing. As I say, he's a tactician. He's not a party leader at the national level, and he's a smart tactician. Some of the other people I don't get. Brian Schatz is a liberal from Hawaii. I don't understand what his vote was. And so, this is complicated. I know most of the people who did. Jean Shaheen is another person.
I know Senator Shaheen well, and her daughter's a dear friend. Yeah.
And I think Peters is leaving too.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about that. So, I mean, these people had nothing to lose. I just don't get it at all. And AOC was correct. It's a kick in the shorts to the people who risk their campaigns in the House to say no to Trump. People want somebody to stand up to Trump. The reason Trump got elected is he seemed to be strong and we seem to be weak. Well, we're just reinforcing the stereotype, doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And why are they so afraid of wielding power? I mean, I see this again and again, sir. Even and Mr. Biden. Let's be honest. Biden did this. First 2 years of his freaking he was in office. He's like, well, I want bipartisan. This is a bipartisan bill. The Republican. Have you ever heard the word bipartisan from a fucking Republican? I mean, they don't care, And we're bending ourselves and twisting.
Biden, didn't do so well at the end, and he probably didn't run. But the truth is, when we look back on this 20 years for you, I won't be around 20 years from now.
I hope I am, Jesus.
Look back at Biden was probably the most effective president for working people that we've seen.
Yes.
Probably since Harry Truman or Johnson, ex the Vietnam War, which he lied about. But what he did for ordinary people was extraordinary. And Biden created thousands of jobs, almost all in red states, by putting factories and chip factories there. All the Republican congressmen used to go to the ribbon clipping, even though they voted against it.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, Dalton, Georgia.
Get rid of the whatever it is act, the CHIPS Act. All the Republicans will say, yes, sir, but don't do it because it's all in our district.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think what I do mean is
grassroots.
Using that bat, though, I mean, really codifying things. Like, again, we had the power to shut this down, right? And negotiate. They had the power to say, look, you got to negotiate. You want us to support? Great. You say you have the power, do it, but you don't. You got to negotiate with us. And it just feels like a lot of times especially in the Senate, they're afraid to just wield naked power. Say, no, we're going to do what we do, and I think it frustrates a lot of us. You're right, because the Republicans have that down.
The problem with the argument that was raised was where they're going to lay waste to the federal government if we don't pass it.
They are now.
They're going to lay waste to the federal government anyway. All they want to do
right now. Yeah. It's like
the whole thing is ridiculous. It's a terrible mistake. And I don't know what the internal calculus was. Maybe he was just trying to protect some of his members from I don't know what the deal was, because it's not obvious to me. But no. I do know that it was an inside the Beltway maneuver, and it harms the Democratic Party nationally, and we can't afford to be harmed anymore. We're really on the verge of losing our country, and I don't like to exaggerate this.
No.
I figured we were going to get through the 4 years somehow. This is really a serious problem, and we'll see what happens when the Supreme Court rules on all these motions that you can't fire people without process and all this kind of stuff.
What a week. I mean, it's funny. The show always opens every week, Harry. I say, wow, what a crazy week it's been. Of course, it's been a crazy week. We had the State as well, I guess the joint session of Congress speech, not necessarily State of the Union. I know you live tweeted that, that was his first joint session speech of this term. He was bragging about being his fifth. You've been up there for those. You've worked that, didn't you? What was your kind of vibe? What was your feeling watching on TV this time?
Well, that's his thing. He loves it. He loves when he's the center of attention. He loves just talking. So he relishes in that moment all the time. So, but the substance of the speech was bullshit. Clearly, like we knew he was going to lie. We knew he was going to go out there and fabricate, exaggerate numbers, blame anybody but himself. We knew that he was going to do that, and a lot of people, I told my followers on online that I was going to be watching it, and people were like, no, boycott it. Like, I get why people want to boycott it. I get it. Yeah. Nobody wants to give him a fire any oxygen. That's how you starve a fire, is take away oxygen. But I really think in these times right now, this is different than the last 4 years. We have to be very aware of what he's saying and what he's doing, because of what he's already done. One of my biggest complaints during the election is that people weren't paying attention. Project 2025 is playing out right now, was all over the place before, during the election. And this is what exactly is happening is right out of Project 2025. And now everybody's surprised. And that's why I say we cannot stop paying attention, because that type of shit will happen.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in it. It's lost, easy in the ridiculousness. The 5-minute rant listing Social Security. People who are too old for Social Security, which we all know is just a coding error, and not the fact that they think people. It's just ridiculous. Of course, who could forget transgender mice?
It's crazy, man.
It's just transgenic. For those who forgot that part, if you haven't seen it online. He talked about we were paying to get mice to turn transgender. No, it's transgenic mice. They're used for testing. It's just stupid.
It's really stupid.
But to me, Harry, watching it, I think maybe you and I come from such similar places as we watch this insanity. Which is sort of a, we served our country, and you're a police officer. I'm a soldier, an extra, and what kind of got me was I was kind of shocked and mostly saddened by the repeated cheering and enthusiasm, right, from the audience and from the Republicans for some really scary shit, right? I mean, like really hateful shit. Really, cutting people, firing them, cutting contracts, not paying for overseas USAID projects that are saving lives.
Yeah.
And these people made punchlines out of them. And were you kind of, it hits, doesn't it?
Well, let's be clear what they're cheering for, and they don't know. They're not cheering for that. Most of the Republicans are not. They are cheering to appease Donald Trump. Everything they do is to appease him. If you notice, Donald Trump was agitated. He was bothered by the fact that no Democrats clapped for anything about him.
Drove him insane.
When he acknowledged it too. He said when he introduced Kennedy, he said, "Oh, with a name like Kennedy, you think the Democrats over here would start clapping for that?" Like, even he was mad that it got under his skin that they weren't clapping. So let's be clear, to your point, Republicans, they are scared of Donald Trump. A lot of them, I've talked to not current members of Congress. There aren't any that I currently talk to, but I have relationships with people who used to be members of Congress, who still talk to members of Congress. And they say behind closed doors and privately, they despise Donald Trump, but they are afraid of the end of their political career. So, yes, on the other hand, I do think that they think that some of the shit that he's doing is insane, but they are too scared to say it. And that's just a lack of moral courage. And that's where we're at right now. That's why we are where we are right now, because so many people have the lack of moral courage.
Well, there's that article, the New York Times got an article yesterday. I think I sent you a clip of it.
Yeah.
About the fact, this fear factor. They wrote an entire piece about fear, and the fear is going everywhere. They talk about how CEOs of companies are afraid to say anything because they're afraid that Musk or someone will come after. They talk about how Democrats are afraid, and Republican members of Congress are afraid. They even had a Republican member of Congress who would not give his name because every time he's mentioned in the news, he gets death threats and threats from MAGA. I mean, it's a scary kind of fascism thing. But you and I, especially you more than me, I'm not going to try and ever claim the kind of shit you put up with. But you've been in this fight since January 2020 or 2021. you face death threats on a regular. It's like Tuesday,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah, it's Tuesday. Yeah.
You went to the principal's first conference, and they're
Called in a bomb threat on it. They called in a
right.
bomb threat on us there. Yeah,
right. So this is your. So what do you say to that fear? I mean, I get people are afraid, and I respect that, but at the same token, what are we going to do here? If we don't step up, we're going to lose the whole damn thing, aren't we?
Yeah, man, that fear is real. And some of the people that you mentioned have already bent the knee and caved into Trump. Let's say Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and those guys who, Jeff Bezos going as far as saying the opinion column in the Washington Post can no longer be about the negativity of what's going, or something like it's something bizarre.
Libertarianism, free market.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's crazy. But let's be clear. As a soldier and me as a police officer, what's the number one goal of terrorists? To create fear and destabilization, and that's what they're trying to do: provoke fear and incite fear. Not because they're mad at you; they just want you to shut up. They want you to shut up, and that's their goal. A lot of times, now listen, I'm not minimizing any death threats that we get, you get, I get, that anybody get. I don't minimize them at all because you have to take them serious. But a lot of times,
these people, so it takes one person.
All it takes is one. All it takes is one. But a lot of these people are just talking to incite fear in you, so you will shut up. And that's the goal of a terrorist. And what's the America's motto or stance with terrorists? We don't negotiate with them. So you know what? Listen, it takes a lot of courage. And I'm not bashing anybody that has succumbed to the fear. This shit's real, man. It's very real. I had a friend of mine reach out to me the other day, and they said, "Harry, all right, seriously, what is the line where it becomes too much, and you say, you know what, I'm going to stop?" And I had to think about it for a minute because I was like, I'm not stopping. They were like, no, with the threats, with your safety, what is the line where it becomes enough is too much? Enough is enough. And I thought about it, and I said, the line is when I think that what I'm doing isn't the right thing to do. As long as what I'm doing, I believe in and I think it's right, I'll never stop fighting for it. And I think that's what it comes down to. That's what's important. You have to believe in what you're doing at your core is the right thing to do. Listen, there's been so many off ramps for me since January 6th, where I could have just said, the hell with this. Just, all right, Harry, you did your job. You served your country more in a week than some people have served in their entire life. You can say the same thing, Fred. But why do we keep going? Because it's worth it. So listen, I get the fear. That shit's real. It's scary. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I don't think about it. I mean, I got cameras around my house. I got firearms. I take necessary precautions to protect myself. I watch my back. I look over my shoulder in public. When I get in my car, I make sure nobody's following. I do that type of stuff, and it's a shitty way to live. It's a shitty way to live, but it's where we are right now.
It's clear millions are frustrated with the Democrat Party. You see the comments right now. You've been seeing them full across the screen, that the idea we do suck. I mean, it's got its lowest ratings in decades. There just really feels like I'm in St. Louis. I'm just down the road from you. I'm in the Midwest. I'm a blue dot. You're actually in a blue area, thank God. But having said that, it does feel like there's a huge disconnect between DC and a lot of the party establishment and the party electeds and what's really going out here, the anger they see. I mean, I'm sure you're hearing that anger, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just this kind of impotence that we've been seeing for years. This didn't just start right now. This has been going on for years. It's just even more evident as our rights and our very basic things that make the country function get taken away for billionaires. And it's really frustrating, I think, because we are putting, like yesterday, there were all these protests everywhere, and people put their bodies out there to say, like, we don't want this. We are standing against this. And our elected officials, who inherently, just by nature of their position, have more safety, have more of a safety net than the rest of us, aren't willing to do that to the greatest extent they could. I mean, when Elon Musk's, army of teenagers went to the Treasury Department, Democrats should have been standing in front of every entrance, arm in arm, and forced police to escort them out, to drag them out. That would have shown voters that they're not alone and maybe even, slowed down this machine. But current Democrats aren't willing to do that. And that's why so many people are pissed off and why I expect a lot more people to run.
And you've been what I find fascinating, and I'd love your take on this, and both as a perspective, as a candidate, as a prospective member of Congress, it really does. What you just said is great. Like Andy, I had Andy Kim on my regular show last week, and Andy, of course, the minute they announced the USAID cuts, Andy was there. He was on the doorstep of a USAID, try to get in. He gets it. He grew up and he worked at USAID. And a lot of people poo-poo that kind of stuff because they're like, oh, that's just showmanship. But you've been watching Fox News. You've been watching the MAGA machine. They understand it does matter. It does matter being on camera. It does matter showing Americans, showing your constituents that you're there. I mean, that's why we're all mocking Kristi Noem. We're mocking Pete Hegseth. But human nature says we do want to see them doing things, right?
Right, exactly. And look, votes are of course important, and you should be voting in ways that your constituents want, which some people like Chuck Schumer seem incapable of doing. But you also need to, I think a lot of people understand that we're not going to pass a bunch of progressive legislation under Trump.
No.
But you can at least try to slow the machine. Even like these symbolic gestures, like Cory Booker's 25-hour speech, they resonate with people because it shows that we're not alone. You know, my education, I focused on atrocity, genocide, extremism, all that really fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Oh, very fun. I'm a very cool person. What you see over and over again in authoritarian regimes is they flourish when people ignore them. And so the strategy by leadership right now, especially Jeffries and Schumer, to just stand aside and enough people will get hurt by 2026 that, they'll want to vote for Democrats is not only morally repugnant because you shouldn't want people to get hurt, but also it's irresponsible because that's exactly what fascists want. They hate outward public support. I say this over and over. The only way to resist fascism is loudly, proudly, and every single day. And by not doing that, you are not only implicitly like normalizing and in some cases almost endorsing what this administration is doing, but you're also your constituents, people that look to you as a national figure, they're thinking this isn't normal. I'm not crazy, right? Like this is
Right.
bad. And if the people that are supposed to be standing against it, if the opposition party is not opposing it, then people are going to normalize it for themselves.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that's exactly it. The anger, the frustration, and the fear. And I think that's what's missing. You saw the protest yesterday. I know you participated in Chicago. You were out there. I know what I heard was a lot of there's fear. There's real fear. There's real angst amongst Americans. There's real fear of losing Social Security. And they desperately want to fight. I can't tell you how many signs I saw that said, I'm with Cory or I'm here. I literally, and I'm in freaking West St. Louis County, Missouri, which is a red place. We had 2,000 people. I probably saw 5 or 10 signs saying, I'm here. Cory sent me,
Yeah.
That symbol, while I saw the pundits on TV, the electeds kind of poo-pooing, although many did get behind him, it does matter. We do need to see fight in our leaders. And that's, I think you're grabbing on that, aren't you?
Right. And like we need to see more than just a 25-hour speech. Like if Cory Booker just does this to raise money and then nothing else, then yeah, it kind of sucks. But if the response to this has encouraged more Democrats to do more, then that's great. I think that one thing that we are trying to do, because it's so easy to feel helpless. I mean, that's part of the reason I ran, because I was like, I'm sick of feeling helpless. I want to do something. Is I think that the way we do campaigns and we do politics is all wrong. I am like my whole campaign is focused on mutual aid and direct action. I don't want this to just be a vanity project, ads, shit like that. We are trying to spend our money directly on the community. We already we collected over 5,600 period products for people who can't afford them as the entry fee to our first event, because we want them to be accessible to everyone, no matter their income. It's not like $500 a plate, but we're buying a bunch of beach cleanup equipment because we're going to do office hours out there. We are planning on buying art supplies for kids that want to do projects in their local community, trying to support local groups, food banks, clothing exchanges.
Love it.
All of this stuff, animal shelters. We are trying to reach people on a person-to-person basis, which is like the right thing to do, but it also makes electoral sense. And it also means, like I said before, if you donate to our campaign, your money isn't getting wasted on like TV ads, win or lose. It's going to people that need help.
I love that. And it's funny how you can tell I'm a campaign hack myself. I work on campaigns, and I did see you saying you're not going to send annoying, stupid text messages and emails. And it sounds funny, but the frustration many of us feel with the Democratic Party does come from the messaging we're receiving. There is a disconnect between the email campaigns and the texting campaigns and with the actual. Okay, and this is a consultant class issue, which I know you're Sam's younger than you. You know, your campaign manager's young. You know, it is. I mean, I have rage quit every single one of the DNC's email list because I've got them writing me about Fred, sign this petition. They're going to try and cut PBS funding. The same week they announced the I was like, are you fucking high? Like, what are you talking about? Yes, that's important. But Jesus Christ, folks, me losing PBS doesn't compare to my in-laws losing their fucking Social Security.
Right.
And that disconnect, I mean, so it sounds like a small thing when you say in your campaign as one of your hardcore things you're going to, especially when you have 11,000 small donors, we're not going to pummel you with things that don't make sense or they're going to actually have messages in them, aren't they?
Right. And so like when you donate to our campaign, you will get a text that's a picture of my cat Heater to thank you for your donation. But there's there's also a link if you want to receive fewer texts or none at all. And we try to make them like very clear, very easy to do in any correspondence we send out, because some people do want to know what's happening in the campaign. But we're also talking about like the genuine difference that we make in the community. We don't just want to be like, send us $5 or, you know, my house will explode, because that's just it's so grifty. Exactly. It's so grifty. It's so gross. You know, I just did a video. I'm trying to make this as transparent as possible for other people who want to run. I just did a video about why you get emails and texts on like the 31st of March that's saying, you know, we need to hit this midnight deadline. And it's this bullshit inside baseball FEC deadline thing that campaigns and consultants care a lot about. So if you want to, if you're thinking about running for office, follow my platform, follow me on YouTube, TikTok, follow our campaign. I want to help you do that. And we are trying to set up a Zoom call with the hundreds of people who have emailed us saying they want to run for office as well. But it's just like, stop listening to James Carville. He hasn't won a race since 92.
Right. Yeah. It's like, let's just roll over. I mean, I lost my mind. And one of my frustrations in the world, and I am, like I said, I've been a campaign consultant for 2 cycles now, and a PAC guy. So I'm all those evil things, but like I'm an old school one. And I tell my guys, be real, be conversation. Go to places like this. Look, we just cruised through 3,000 live. That's not giant, but you know that this is an audience that will support you. And by the way, give her money. Okay. Give her money, sign up. You're here. Don't $10 will make a big difference because she's running a grassroots campaign. And so do that. And that's key too. It's not about, there was great discussions about, how she should have done Joe Rogan and she didn't. My frustration was that they didn't put Tim Walz on every fucking podcast, because Tim Walz is like me. He's a middle-aged white guy from the Midwest who happens to be a veteran. There's not a topic you can't throw at me I probably don't know something about, because when you're our age, you've talked football, you've talked baseball, and so you seem to get it, that it's about going it's not just all the big shows, but going everywhere and hearing your voice, right?
Right. Like I've said we want to make this the most accessible campaign in history. I will meet any constituent anywhere in the district to talk about almost anything. And I'll go on pretty much any show platform as long as it's not actively hurting people. Because I think that not only is there this messaging disconnect and this unwillingness to engage with voters, but there's also this feeling that we just need to appeal to these voters for a primary, right, or we need to talk to these people and screw those other ones. They don't vote. And it's like, maybe if we gave them something to vote for, that would be different. How about we try to actually reach people and also help them without necessarily making it an exchange?
Yep. I think that's so true. I mean, look at the comments. I'm looking at the comments on Substack, and it's funny how that lit up when we talked about the fundraising messages and the approaches like that. The consulting class, Substack lit up. This and lit
like, look, up. It's not always that consultants or like PACs are bad. There are lots of very small PACs. They're like climate PACs, social justice PACs, and with consultants, we like Rania Patrice is someone that's been super helpful with this campaign. She runs the wind company, and they don't take a cent until they actually make something for you. They have a model that is like predicated on providing something that is worthwhile, and the payment they get is in direct relation to how it pays off and how it reaches people. And that is fine. I'm cool with someone providing a service because that's what you should be doing. It's these people that care more about their paycheck than actually winning and somehow keep getting hired and charging ridiculous sums of money to give you the same advice that lost Hillary in 2016.
Why when people look at, I mean, I know organizers, they look at rural America, and let's be honest, they kind of throw their hands in the air, right? A lot of times, especially on our side of the aisle. What do you tell, like, when you meet one of these political candidates or consultants, and they look at you like they don't know what to do? What's the first advice you give a candidate or a group or anybody who's trying to reach rural America, especially rural Democrats?
Put somebody on the ground that is in their community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because when you have people working inside their communities, they already have relationships with their friends and neighbors. And the reason that we struggle with this is that Democrats kind of forget about us. And then, for 6 or 8 weeks at the end of a campaign, they come in and they try to send, college kids to come in and talk to my neighbors who are like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know you. Who are you? What are you about? And that sort of thing. So we need to fund people where they are. We need to fund rural organizers. And for a long time, we haven't been doing that. Right. So we need to get back to that. And to counter, people will always say, it's the churches, they're preaching from the pulpits. They absolutely are. How do you counter that? You got to be in the spaces. And that's where Democrats have given up and walked away. And oh my God, Fred, if you think about it like this, Wyoming has how many senators? 2. California has how many? 2. Why aren't we paying attention to Wyoming? Right? Right? Montana. Why aren't we paying attention to these areas where it wouldn't take that much, of people in their spaces to make a massive impact?
Yeah. And it is a lot of work, right? It's hard to reach people. We're always looking for those clusters, right? We want to get people in a group and all, but there are ways to reach folks. I mean, you're reaching a lot of people. I mean, you were a machine during the campaign this year. I couldn't keep up with you. For you guys know, I was invited to give a speech at a rally in Springfield, Missouri, and I had the bad fortune to follow Jess. Okay. And she opens up. Oh my Christ. I mean, the room was full. There's cheering and going crazy. And I got there like, who's this asshole? And you do not want to follow Jess because she's a rock star, in a lot of places. I mean, you did a lot of miles during this campaign, didn't you, Jess?
I did, because I mean what I say, and I'm also impacted by all of these terrible policies, and I'm in this space, right? And so I understand why people are mad. People write books all the time. They're like, rural rage, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pissed off. You want to know why? Come to my town. You'll find out why. There used to be 2,500 people. Now there's 480. They've defunded our schools. We don't have any shoulders on the roads. I don't have any place to buy milk. I have to drive 30 minutes to buy, milk, but there's 3 places I can buy a pack of cigarettes, right? It's problematic what has happened in rural spaces. They have sold off our towns for parts, and that is why people are angry. Now, what happens is that anger is misdirected a lot of times. It's misdirected at people who don't deserve it, right?
Right.
When I see Democratic messages, sometimes it's hard because people wanted to run on Bidenomics, right? They wanted to talk about the great economy. But Fred, it's hard for me to knock a door in my neighborhood and talk about the great economy, right?
Right.
Because it's not great here, because we don't have jobs here, because we don't have unions, because they close our schools, because they do the things that impact our communities. So I really, have to have other resources to talk about. And that's the fact that they, cut insulin prices. That's the fact that they're working with farmers. That's the fact that the Harris Walls campaign actually had a plan for rural America. I talked to Tom Vilsack about this, and I was like, oh my God, nobody has talked to us in forever. I don't remember the last time. Has Trump ever said, here's an outline for things I'm going to do for rural Americans? No, he doesn't care about us or our schools or our roads or our hospitals. He doesn't care, right? They did, but it was too little too late. The rural organization with, of course, Harris, everything happened so fast, but the rural organization happened in about the last 6 weeks. It was too late, right?
Wow.
We needed people on the ground for now, for 2026, right?
Actually, for 2025, right? Because one of the things I've been throwing up a lot is, and I think we have a graphic you can even show it if you got the graphic, JJ, of the fact that I think 31 states. I've been saying 30, but now Alabama changed their laws, so even Alabama's going to have local elections this year in 2025. So 31 states are having local elections, right? Wisconsin, Pennsylvania have Supreme Court elections, and Virginia, New Jersey have statewide elections for their House and for the governorships and others. So in 2025, we got elections. Those are down ballot races, and down ballot races matter, don't they, Jess?
They matter a lot. If we can, Blue Missouri, we fund the toughest and reddest races. We're not flipping seats. And people say, why would I give money to a race that isn't going to flip? Because down in Southern Missouri, down in the Boot Hill, we supported a candidate named JoJo Stewart.
Yeah.
She lost terribly. She got 15% of the vote. But you know what, Fred? They haven't had a candidate there in 12 years. They have not had a Democrat to vote for 12 years.
Wow.
So 15% of the people came out to vote for Joe. You know what else they did? They voted to make sure that Kamala Harris was the president. They voted to make sure that we passed abortion as a right in this state. So races that cannot win absolutely matter to everything in the entire state and the country.
Right. And that's how you win statewide elections too, right? 15% in rural Missouri that never had, that would have been zero or possibly, that adds up for the governor's race in Virginia, for example. I mean, many ways, those of us who really analyze the Virginia loss from Terry McAuliffe to Glenn Youngkin, the common knowledge that everybody has just assumed is true is the soccer moms of Northern Virginia are the ones who got that race. But if you really dig the numbers, you discover that in counties where Biden had gotten, say, 25% of the vote or 30% of the vote, only about 15 and 20% showed up. When you multiply that times, 20 counties, guess what? You lose the race by 20,000 votes at the state level, don't you?
You do. And that's why it's so important for us to keep saying down ballot matters. And that's why I sent you that tweet. I talked to, or it's not a tweet. What is it on Blue Sky? Is it a post?
Skeet. I call them skeets. I hate it. I just skeets, I guess.
I posted on there about organizing in rural red spaces since the last Trump administration, and how if we can just drive a few more rural voters out, that makes a difference. And AOC was like, hey, this does make sense. And you're like, it does. And it's really important for a party that's struggling right now. We all know how tough this loss was. We know how hard it is to come back and say, we're still here. We still have to do these things. And that's the thing with me, Fred. I've got nowhere to go. I've got 5 kids and 4 grandkids. I've got a little farm here. I'm not wealthy. I'm not elite. It would be very difficult for me to replicate my life anywhere else. So the only thing I can do is stay and fight, draw the line in the sand and say, no, we're not going to accept this. And we know in states like Missouri, we keep electing Republicans, but the fact is we want a progressive agenda because we vote for those every time, right? We live in a state that had an abortion ban and we had legalized recreational weed. It's like, what's going on? Well, the abortion ban was put in by our representatives and our senators, but what the people want was put on the agenda and we passed it. And guess what? We just overturned our abortion ban too.
Yeah, and that's the dichotomy, right? That we have to give folks a choice. And this is a pro-democracy. We're just talking about some of the comments on the show, like, oh, this is a left channel. Like, well, ish. But really it's about democracy and you have to have a choice. I mean, I spoke with you one time and you said it so very well that when you didn't have a Democrat on the ticket, and this could go even in state, let's be very candid, even in states like say California or Hawaii, where there's only Democrats, your choice is what? Which Republican's going to do the dust damage for you? Or maybe, let's be honest, even in Hawaii, maybe, which Democrat, right? It really isn't. When we don't have choice, we don't actually have a democracy, do we, Jess?
We don't. And for years in places like Missouri, we've taught progressives to vote for Republicans because we gave them no choice. And they would go, I pull Republican ballots all the times during the primaries because, like you said, I want to vote for the person who is least likely to hurt me because they're not going to have a Democrat. And I'll tell you this last time I pulled a Democratic ballot to vote for our governor that I wanted to win, Crystal Quaid. But by the simple fact that I pulled a Democratic ballot, I couldn't vote for a state rep. I couldn't vote for the state or for my county sheriff, not the commissioner, not the assessor, not the prosecutor, not one single county race, because not one county race is opposed by a Republic or by a Democrat, and that's because they know they can't win. There's never been any choice. There keeps not being any choice. And so it's this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? No one's running. I never vote for Democrats. And so I'm just going to keep voting for Republicans.
Right. Right. And that's it. And that goes for places. I mean, look, we've seen it. And by the way, when you have single party rule, look, let's be honest, it does open the world to corruption. It does open the world to folks who may or may not be. Look at New York City right now. Eric Adams, can any really say he's a Democrat? I mean, come on. But in New York City, to win, he had to be a Democrat. And now we're seeing the fallout of that. He's turned out to be, let's be very honest, a very corrupt man, and there's paying a price for it. He's been indicted by the federal government. I mean, we have to have some choice. For democracy to survive, we have to fight back, which leads to the last part I want to talk to you about is, we've seen so many of those on the left, the Democrats, have really, and I'm going to talk about them after we talk too, they've really kind of just like given up. And I mean, it's been very hurtful for me and scary for me how many of our peers on the left who just sort of said, that's it, we're done. And that's not what we're all about. Is, I mean, you're a rural lady, I'm an old veteran. I mean, we don't have the luxury, if you will, just throw our hands up in the air and walk away, do we?
We don't. And that's where I think, some people can talk about elites. I'm not one. This is where I have to be. This is where I have to stay. My kid has to go to a rural school. I've got to make sure that she has teachers and a library and facilities, right? They want to go after the Department of Education, which is outrageous. But this is really the important part. People don't understand what the Department of Education does. It doesn't create curriculum. It doesn't write curriculum. That is all done at the state and local levels. All they're doing by dismantling the Department of Education is taking care of the people who hear, discrimination suits, who make sure that there are girls' sports. Now, Fred, I thought they ran on this whole idea of girls' sports, right? The only reason we have girls' sports is because the Department of Education makes schools do that. If you send it back to the states and local schools are going to say, you know what? Girls volleyball is expensive. We're not going to do it. We're still going to have football and baseball and those sort of things, right? We know it's going to impact special education students, gifted students, and we already have segregation academies, but we'll have a lot more when this happens, right? So it's just being at the ground level and explaining to my neighbors. I can walk across the street and talk to my neighbor who is very conservative. She will vote for Democrats. Her husband is solidly a Republican, but I can just visit with them because I know them, right? They know I don't eat babies, right? So we're starting off on a better field than just, sending random folks into rural parts of the country.
As you can see, we've had some great conversations. There's more to come. We've already got guests lined up for next week. I can't wait to introduce you to, again, more people's voices maybe you should know, more voices you probably do know, and a lot more that you've never heard before. I'm very excited to introduce them to you. But let's talk about my favorite part of the show each week. As you guys, if you've watched the show before, know, my favorite part is the panels. We have incredible panelists. We got more coming up. My friend Steve Hofstetter is going to be joining us the next couple of weeks. We've had comedians, actors, famous people, not so famous people, incredibly inspiring people. You're going to see them all. This is some of my favorite panel clips up ahead. This is each week we do the panel. As you know, there's part of the panel is we'll just discuss with folks what's going on. And then the panel picks, they get to pick from 4 topics on the show. Usually ends up being a lot of laughs. And you ask, why did we decide to go with more humor? Well, because man, it's a crazy freaking time. If we can't just have a laugh about it all sometimes, we're all going to lose our minds. So we set out on a mission here, the team, to do a show that's a little bit more fun. And the panel is the best part of all of that. So without further ado, here's some of our favorite moments from the panels from Too Late to Cancel. All right, Alex, you're up.
The upsides of cancer. No, this one's for Gwen.
I wasn't subtle this week at all. I'm like, fuck. And so here's the secret behind the scenes. Again, the show's called Too Late to Cancel. Generally, JJ wakes up at the crack of dawn in San Diego, and I'm like, JJ, panel picks, fuck. And my fiance jokes. My fiance knows, so because she joked. This is how my fiance says I type. And she'll lean in like, oh, you're doing your monkey thing. Like, okay. Anyway, so these were very obvious, but go ahead, pick one that's completely random, Alex.
Completely random. Can't even imagine which one I would pick. Upsides of cancer. We love.
Oh shit! I didn't see that coming.
We love left field. Yeah. No, there are some little like perks to having, like when you have it too. You can do no wrong. Like especially all 3 times I had it, it's a get out of jail free card for anything. Morning meeting. I have cancer. Literally, what are you going to say? No, we really need you in this 8 a.m. Zoom. I have cancer. So it's my third time having cancer. I could get out of it is the ultimate get out of jail free card. And so I highly recommend. Yeah, no, like there's literally no, I could. Oh, it looks so good. You can just really, you can let yourself go, like gain 5-10 pounds. People are like, what happened? I'm like, cancer, actually.
Cancer. Yeah.
Cancer.
You could go to
I'm using that and I don't have cancer.
I need to be at the front of every line because
Yes.
Cancer.
Right? I could cut in front of the Make-A-Wish kids. I have cancer too. Sorry. Is it your third time? Is it your third time?
Well, that's the thing. Do you get like a frequent flyer card or some shit like miles?
Okay, so I have this idea.
It seems like you should.
Can I please talk about this? Because I have this idea that if we're gonna keep being our little like capitalist society, that we need to be able to, we need to start doing hospital points the way that we do like airline points, credit card points, all the miles. Like, give me cancer points. I have racked up Diamond Medallion 6 status at this point. Like, give me my lounge, give me my first class. Like, especially like if we're gonna, like, I have put so much money into our healthcare system already. Like, I never want to be in a waiting room with someone who's like has cancer the first
time. Do you know who I am?
Get on my level. Get on my level.
Do you know who I am? I'm a VIP here. Like, there should be a special like 3-timers lounge.
Yes. Yeah. The SNL hosting. Like, give me my jacket. Give me a little velvet jacket.
Yes. I love this idea. True. That's a brilliant.
If we're going to keep being the worst people, let's at least
and radiation.
Exactly.
Radiation, you get a glow.
Radiation. Right? Are you kidding me? It's amazing. I just like anytime I feel my neck acting up, I just stand in front of the microwave for a few minutes. It's great. I just it's a little self-treatment. It's incredible.
I'm gonna try that. Not well, I had no idea there are so many upsides of cancer until now. And I
highly recommend it. I highly recommend. Oh, and the post-op drugs aren't bad either.
I just had
You'll be
like
flying.
5 surgeries. I think I've had 5 surgeries since I left the army, and that still doesn't count. So I'm the same way. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm replacing all of my joints because you know what? That's cool. Hey, I'm a modern man. Literally, all my parts are on the U.S. government. They're all fucking fake. Yeah, and thank you for your tax dollars. You're paying for my big ass, and I appreciate it. All right, bring the list back. Bring the list back, JJ. Oh my god, I'm crying. Okay, Gwen, you're up.
Yeah, man, let's chat about accents. You want to talk about where we're going for our vacation? How we're going to get away? Yeah, man. We must try and go to Jamaica.
Do you go home? So where were you? Good. You were raised in Jamaica, right? Or were you raised in the UK?
No. I was raised in England.
Okay, there you go. But are your family?
Yeah,
wow.
But my mom is Jamaican. So, and then, like I have so much family in Jamaica. So I get on the phone and chat with them almost daily. So I can't just turn into a Jamaican anytime I want to. It just clicks into it.
I was going to say, do you slide into it after you've had a couple drinks or when you're talking, like in certain situations?
If I've had too much to drink, then I turn straight British. Like it goes right back as if I've not left. It's ridiculous how it can just go from one thing to the next. I think if I'm just really happy, I turn into a Jamaican. Like, it just suddenly I just come real happy and it just come back,
Because you can. That's the thing.
I love that.
I bet you. Do you also turn like British personality? Like you get real snobby and.
I completely become a snob. Like it's so easy to be a snob because I do have a couple snobs in my family, so I think about them and I'm like, oh yeah, all right, let's bring it on.
I could do that. And now you're in the United States. So do you have to do any of your roles need an American accent? How's your American accent? Where do you go for that?
My American accent is not really as good as everything else, but I'm really trying hard because I don't want to.
You're going to California.
It's amazing.
I saw it. You went to California.
But it's definitely a Valley girl, But
there you go. I saw that. Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Alex, you're a Midwestern girl like me, aren't you? Or were you originally from?
Okay. Well, I'm from Boston originally.
Oh, shit. Oh, okay.
No accent.
Right there.
I should have known that. Man, I suck at this job. I was supposed to know things like that.
You did not do your research.
No, I
no, Boston, but I lived in the Midwest for 11 years.
Right.
And went to school in Wisconsin. Lived in the Midwest. Yeah, lived in Chicago, went to school in Wisconsin, and then came back. But yeah, Boston, Chicago, and Wisconsin could not be three of like the most grating accents you've ever heard, particularly on women.
A Bostonian accent, then?
Yeah. Can I do a Boston accent? Yeah, I sure can. Yeah, I can, but I choose not to because it sounds.
my dad
with this tenor, with this low voice, I sound like I exclusively eat children. But it's yeah.
Well, my dad.
No,
my dad's from Lynn.
If you
my dad was from Lynn.
That Bostonian accent, it could be really good. You know what I mean? Like you could frighten the shit out of somebody, right?
It's hard though to turn the Boston accent on without absolutely ramping up curse words to the max. Yeah. Like it's I can't do.
No,
you gotta like fucking. It's like it's just part of it. It's like just part of the lexicon to just throw the word fuck. Sorry, throw the word fucking. I keep saying it. I keep saying it and then apologizing.
Oh, there it is. Oh my god! I don't know why you're apologizing. Well, my dad's from Boston, and I grew up, and then we're OG, the Wellmans. So we actually came over in 1640. So we actually
Wellmans.
The Wellman family. Yeah, there's a lot of it's very English.
Plymouth.
Well, we were Puritans.
Yeah.
But I've strayed.
My.
Say, well, it's been 400 years. But my dad had the straight up Lynn, Mass accent. Boston.
Lynn is strong.
Park the car at Harvard Yard.
Yeah.
It was a running joke. Because I was the youngest by like 6 years. And it was this huge age gap in my family. 4 kids. I think they got drunk on New Year's Eve, but we don't know. Anyway, I came around September. So, but we used to bust my dad's balls. My brother's like, Fred, you're almost like dad. And like, say car. I'm like, car. Like, yes. And Harvard Yard, park the car in Harvard Yard. That's my dad. And then the funniest part of that whole fucking thing is I actually got into Harvard in grad school, and my dad.
Okay, brag about it.
It was the cool. I am. We have to do it every week. And my dad thought was the most amazing thing ever because he's from the wrong side of the track. Lynn, City of Sin.
Yeah.
Anyway, I grew up with that fucking thing. Anyway, so Boston's a great accent to have. Oh, I love it. And my fiance works up there. Her company's up there, so we're always talking about if we move up there. So we'll just go into Boston yelling, what are you yelling about? And just kind of do the whole
just
thing.
Remove the letter R from your brain, and then you'll be good.
I got to tell you, man, I love to hear people talk about the great thing about the DNC is they always want to analyze what went wrong. Well, now's not the time. The time was a long time ago, 2 years ago. That was the time. And they do it every single time that, which is great. As a human being, I love anybody who goes, well, what did I do wrong? That's great. In this case, we had a flat out criminal. There was nothing they couldn't run against. There was no upside. How do you lose an election to no upside? There's no upside. The guy's got convictions. We saw what he did the first 4 years, and they're like, yeah, we don't know what we did. Yeah, well, I don't. What do you think it is? To have all that baggage behind him, how did this happen?
I don't know. Do you think people just get used to it? I mean, it's just like it's such a shit show all the time. I think you get immune to it at some point. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I'm still amazed myself as I'm, putting in new cameras at the house, right? Oh well, this is great. I got it the next morning. I was apologizing to my fiance. I'm like, oh, sorry about this. Life's about to get really ugly, but nonetheless, well, it's an early morning. I appreciate that.
But how do people not know that?
What'd you say at the pre-show about getting up this early?
Getting up this. I'm a comedian. I've been doing this 40 years, man. To me, get up this early, like in human years, it's 3 a.m. to me on the West Coast. And as my wife said, Ray was supposed to be on the show, and we both kind of snapped. I snapped awake like a horror movie on Sunday. I'm like, oh, Fred, up! And then I got up. I go, babe, we got to get up for Fred. And she didn't wake up. And I went back in after I grabbed a cup of coffee before I turned it on. And she just mumbles from under the covers, what kind of Nazi gets you up at 8 o'clock on a Sunday? And I was like, Fred Wellman, that's the kind. And
that's the guy.
See, I'm not just calling Republicans Nazi. You also, Fred, in some ways, are a hyperbolic Nazi.
Wow. Okay. I'm okay with that,
in this context.
I'm not going to lie, I'm taking great pleasure in dragging your lazy ass out of bed.
Exactly.
Not really well.
Lazy. It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday. What are you on a farm? Where do you, I guess you do live. I guess where you live, you probably got up, did some crops.
Yeah, I'm from Missouri, bro. Get to work.
Fed the chickens. Yeah, you got all the.
Dude, I have a cat. I have a rooster cat that comes in at like 6 a.m., wakes our asses up and yells at us. You know, so I don't get to sleep in and then my beautiful fiance, she's Dutch. And she's one of those early risers, man, right? And I was in the Army for 22 years. And I still hate mornings. And I'll be sitting there and Heather's just like pops out of bed at 6:30 and she's out the door. And the funniest part is, man, like we have a dog that's got to go out right away. And every day for 5 years, I'm like, I got it. She's like, oh, shut the fuck up. You don't got it. Just lay back down.
You kind of scream, mumble. I got it. Don't worry about it.
Let me do it this time, babe.
No, we have two little Yorkies. You know them. We have Groucho and Chaplin. And Groucho, you just wake up every morning to this. He's just right there. And you're just like, hey, dude. It's another horror movie. So where are we?
You got a new show before we go too far.
Yeah.
You got a new show coming out Christmas Eve, don't you?
I do. Christmas Eve. During COVID, I had 8 specials in the can at that point. I released them all for free because we were all so screwed. And then we did Zero Side Effects about the pandemic and the first administration. And then now this one is called Carrion Monsters. It's the best thing from my childhood. I mean, it's the best show I've ever done. It's basically, if you like Norman Rockwell's Bleeding, it's 90 minutes. It's coming out. It'll be released on my website on Christmas Eve. So you can pre-order it now.
You got the trailer, don't you, JJ? You want
90
to
minutes.
The trailer?
Oh, yeah.
90
minutes. Let me watch me some more. That's great.
Well, yeah, let's watch Titus. No, that's not it. Jesus, JJ.
You're a kid. You don't know you have bad parents. They're just your parents. I remember when I was little walking around just like, how come there's no other kids are playing Hot Wheels with me at the Whiskey River Saloon at midnight? Why? I used to go to bars with my mom when I was little, when I was 4. I mean, I didn't go with her. She took me. I was like, yo, Mom, I'm 4. It's 10:30. Where's the party up in this piece? What are we doing? I need to get my apple juice swerve on. Can we go? Mom took me to bars with her because babysitters cost 3 drinks an hour. And she needed that 4th Harvey Wallbanger, goddammit. Which, by the way, is an old drink name I've been hearing my whole life, Harvey Wallbanger. I didn't figure out what it meant till I wrote this show. Harvey Wallbanger means you drink it and you bang off the walls. I don't think we should name drinks after what they do. Can I get a Harvey Wallbanger? She's going to have a puke in my car later. Now, Mom and I were living here in North Hollywood at the time. North Hollywood, as you guys know, is a lot like Hollywood, except there's no money, mansions, or actors. A lot of Latinos live there. You could call it Hola-wood. And ironically, like Hollywood, there's a lot of Oscars. Ah, yes. It's not racist if it worked here. Yep.
Yep, that's some good shit.
Yeah, that was that. So this story, as I say in the show, these are stories from many years I couldn't tell, and then a bunch of people who the stories are about died. Now they're just stories I shouldn't tell, but I'm not going to court, which is great.
That's the best part, because you have a history of that, I believe. Yeah. If I remember correctly.
Speaking of court, what is the deal? Why, if we have a judge saying that basically it was rape, we have a judge saying it. It's not like some rando said it. Yeah. Why would ABC settle? What do you think? I know you talked about it a bit, but what I don't understand is there is a fear from the billionaires and a lot of people right now about this time. It wasn't last time we thought he was a moron. This time people seem scared. Why do you think that is?
I think that's it. I think that you said it, didn't you? I think people are a little scared. I think they're nervous that he's going to do these things. I mean, look at the insanity these people he's put in. Cash Patel, these guys. They've literally said. I mean, we had a clip I think a couple of weeks ago of Cash Patel on Steve Bannon's show saying we're going to go after the media. It's like, well, I mean, at some point maybe you start believing them. It has been shocking to me though how the willingness to just kind of bend the knee, as they call it, right?
Yeah, the folding up is stunning. It's stunning to watch, man. And by the way, can we talk about the people he's getting for a second? RFK, by the way, the reason that we don't have polio is because the polio vaccine works. That's why we don't have. You don't know anybody who's a little poly. You just don't run into poly people ever because the vaccine works. So
you get a touch of it. You don't get a touch of polio.
A little bit. I'm feeling a little bit polio. I'm hot. So, and then you got Kash Patel. I mean, is there a douchebag LinkedIn that I don't know about that he's just recruiting people from? Like how there's no upside. Like at least the first time you go Kelly, you can even Bill Barr to a degree and go, all right. And I remember saying this. I remember saying that the first time was, oh, well, the world's not going to come apart as long as these guys are around. These guys are decent Americans, and we don't have that this time. We do not have it this time, and like you said, that whole thing about basically agreeing with them in advance is going to screw us. I mean, right now we have to fight. What people don't understand about the fight, here's what people don't get. If you give up and give in, it makes your life easier. And I look at some of the people that fought last time that he's going to go after. I mean, like Chris Wray leaving the FBI is the dumbest possible thing. I think it's really a bad move. And I understand why Chris Wray would do that. And the funny thing is that people forget, you appointed Chris Wray, Donald Trump. You put him in there. So so the guy, the deep state guy, you put in. So we have that problem. Yeah. But I understand we all don't want hassle in our life. But it's also what happened in Germany in 1929. When people are like, I just don't want to hassle with it. No, my life's going to be. I'm going to grab mine together. There's literally been poems and books written about great quotes about just folding up, and we can't do it. Will there be problems? Yes. And someone will get hurt, but that person will become a focal point for a resistance that will take him down. And this is what I worry about. And people keep saying to me, what could happen? Have you read a history book? Have you read a history book? I know you don't have that in Missouri. I know they don't teach history anymore there. But I don't understand it. There's Stephanopoulos is a smart guy. I don't understand why they folded.
Right. I don't either. Maybe there's more to the story than I'm seeing, but I think I'm seeing lawyers saying they had a very clear case. It wasn't a problem. I'm not folding. We were talking about, I mean, I woke up, this is the perfect person to have a conversation with. You know how I found out that Mike Flynn was suing me? I get up and as part of my morning routine, I go to the bathroom. I'm a middle-aged male. Right. And I sit in the bathroom, and that's where I get most of my Google alerts overnight, is sitting in the bathroom. So imagine the 58-year-old guy, coffee's cooking. I'm looking at my phone on the can, and it's like, oh, check it out, man. I'm being sued for $150 million with Mike Flynn.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not shitting you. That was literally how I found out.
Well, you were shitting while you found it out. It's good to see your research team where they do their work. The conference room flushes, which is awesome.
Yes. I'm texting the fiance, hey, check it out. I'm being sued for $100 million.
So how is that going to work out? I mean, you can't, if you can talk about the case.
We just found out. So they tied our case. So it's a federal case. They tied it to state court. He sued Rick Wilson too, of course. Midas touch. He's suing everybody. So Rick got his dismissed, and then Flynn appealed it. So the Florida State Court of Appeals just rejected his appeal, saying he's a public figure and all that stuff. So they notified the federal court, and I'm all pumped, man. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Federal judge said that it's based on the disposition of this case. So I'm doing a little happy dance, which.
So yeah, you've got
lawyers, right?
You got precedent, which is great. You got precedent, right?
There you go. So they submitted to our court for another stay because he may or may not appeal yet again. So our court gave him till January 17th, I think, for them to make a decision. I'm of the theory it's kind of the same thing. This federal judge doesn't want to make a decision until it's too late. So whatever. So
good news for us.
Still going.
Good news for all of us podcast people. Thank you for setting the precedents. Because man, if they come after me, as much smack as I talk, holy crap! Like just hearing. I know you got one tweet. Have you seen all the Armageddon updates? Just wait till the 14 hours that they have to watch. The good news is the jury will be laughing at least. But Jesus.
I've watched it. Yes, I know.
Please,
I watch it.
I'm glad you guys are taking the bullets for me. You know what's funny? Did you ever get this in your comments? Like someone will comment on a thing, and someone from the right, and they say the Biden administration's paying you, and I laugh every time. Really? You think that the Biden administration needs my 330,000 subscribers that show up maybe once a month? Yeah, we're the resistance. Yeah,
the power. Look at my power. My guests are bitching about coming on in the morning. I don't want to here.
Come on, our sponsors are stamps.com. Yeah, you're right. It's you're right. We're the deep state. It's us in a podcast in a room.
Don't forget our recycling machines, dude. Come on. We got that's some good shit. You know, we are black. I love all the sponsors. It's funny because I'll get a sponsor and sometimes I'll just get like a box. They're bad. And I love, by the way, if you want to sponsor the show, call me. You know, I'm just saying. I get the greatest sponsors, man. I mean, I've gotten some fun when I look at stuff in the mail. I can't believe I get it sometimes. You know,
it's also weird as much smack as we talk that opening a random box is always a scary thing. Like I get it. What is it? So I've said to Ray, I've been like, Ray, what? Why would we get a box this big? And you look up and it's liquid IV. I'm like, oh, thank God. Yeah, but I still opened it. I still opened it like a moron.
You don't know where it's from. Exactly. Yeah, no. Exactly. Oh, here's my Cineletics. Great. It's my medicine. Shake it like that. Doesn't sound good. You know. All right, the way this works, y'all, since I didn't explain it to you, neither of you read your email invite.
Sorry.
Because nobody reads the email invite. You did? Can you? Okay, well, I'll give you credit for that. Nobody reads the email. So for future guests, read the email. Jesus. Having said that, I know JJ doesn't read the email, which is disgusting because he's in it. But nonetheless, we diverge. I digest. So the way it works is you get to pick one of these to talk about. Kenise, ladies first. Pick something to talk about.
Okay. I am going to pick protests that aren't political because I genuinely don't have much to say about the other things. And actually, I'm confused about number 4. What does that mean?
Oh, you're going to see. So, so there you go. So what, these are things other than Trump and other things, other than politics, what would you organize a protest about?
Okay. So I wrote down some things that I just don't like.
Okay, that's good. Go for it. I'm going to wash my glasses.
It's going to be part of that. Okay. So I am protesting young people, like children below 18, and older people above the age of 65 being on the same social media as everyone else. And hear me out. Hear me out.
Come on now. I have a senior audience.
No, you guys should get your own. You should get like.
Isn't that Facebook?
Well, maybe, but like without the political stuff. Like you've worked hard your whole life, and then you've got to think about an algorithm to make you more appealing to who? To what? No, you should get your own thing that's chill, that's just like recipes and taking care of your lawn and like video, just like something fucking chill. You guys should get that. And children, they're seeing way too much. I don't want to have to explain. I'm going to have to explain to my 4-year-old nephew what like ass to ass is. I don't want to have to do it. And it's ridiculous. You guys should have your own thing. And I will stand with a sign saying, you get to do something else. You don't have to be in the muck with us. You don't.
That's true. That's a very good point. And I've watched your clips and I agree because trying to explain them, especially your last one you just did about the men who want to date you and their appendages.
Yeah, like I don't want to like that.
Sister, I don't want to explain that to my in-laws, no matter my kids.
Yeah. You don't have to be here with us. We're in the muck, okay? And that is until I'm 65, but I want to be free after that. So
I agree. I'm gonna encourage people to go to Kenise's Instagram and look up her bit about her dating. I'm not gonna show it on the show. All right, but Austin, what would you stage a protest about?
Oh my God, this is where the early call time is gonna catch up with me because I'm like I'm sitting there racking my brain and I'm like I have nothing funny to say.
You live in LA. You live in LA.
I mean, about my industry, I would say, and this I don't know that this is funny, but I just would say if your movie costs more than $30 million to make, it's got to come out in theaters. Like we got to go back and we got to, and it's got to be in the theater. We got to be in there like before you can watch it at home. There's got to be at least 6 months so that people are like, okay, well now I have to, because I don't understand how you make a movie for $320 million like The Electric State. Netflix just made this movie and you just drop it on a streamer. The economics of it are completely unsustainable. Like I said, this isn't a very funny take, but it is a thing that's killing my industry. And I just don't
get it.
It doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
Yeah. So,
well, isn't Guy Ritchie coming out like a Indiana Jones movie now with like big? Yeah, they just announced it. It looks like Indiana Jones. It's got huge stars and it's going straight to Apple TV, which
Also, no one can see it.
Yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers is talking about how they're going to sell the company and dissolve their studio if Superman doesn't work out for them. And it's kind of this thing where like the old studios are sort of dying and the new studios are the streamers. So Apple Plus, Amazon, Netflix, these and at least Apple and Amazon have a revenue stream outside of the media they create. So it makes sense where the money's coming from. Netflix is just subscription based and they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on and they make, I mean, when I did Mindhunter, I did an ADR session in a studio with, this is how crazy David Fincher is he actually had me come and do ADR for that scene too. And he had me try there for this tiny scene. And and it's just me and him in a studio together. And he's talking to me about what Netflix's production budget was back then. And he goes, it's like $7 billion a year in production. And I was like, what? And he goes, and that's like,
make such bad things then.
Right. But it's more now. And I just don't get how any of that is sustainable. But
wow. That's amazing. And you're right. And it does undermine a lot of things. Understands a lot of business. It's just a shifting market that's just so crazy and it makes no sense. We went and saw that ridiculous unicorn movie last week.
That.
Oh my God, it was great. It was cheesy as shit and funny and a little bit slightly predictable, but fuck, I loved it. I thought Paul Rudd was hilarious. I mean, it was a great movie,
I think
gory as hell.
Studios like A24 and studios like Neon that will make original content, original movies and with like first time writer directors and take a chance on it. I think we need more of that, but that's a movie. The way I described that movie was it's a Disney Channel original movie if it had the F word and blood and guts in it. It
was a lot. There was a lot of blood and guts in that one.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you talking about? Mindhunter?
No, Death of the Unicorn.
The Death of the Unicorn.
I loved it. I think it really showcased actors who I didn't think were funny, like Will Poulter, the son with like a face that is a little scary to me sometimes. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
Yes, that's fair.
His face is a little, it's like there's the angularity of it is a bit intense. He's a great looking kid. But he got to be really funny in Death of a Unicorn. And I was like, I was so happy to see. I've seen 3 movies that are in that like $30 million range that I think were really good this year. Companion, Novocaine, and Death of a Unicorn that I was like, I'm really happy that these mid-sized movies are coming back.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird that the $30 million movies will do a theatrical release and make money and make their money back. And the $200 and $300 million movies will just drop on a streamer somewhere where it's like, if you don't have a subscription, you're never going to see this movie. And it's just like, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing. All right, bring back the list, JJ. All right, Denise wants one. She knows. Neither of you watched White Lotus, did you? So I just found out. You guys.
I know there's something about incest or something. Right?
Oh boy, is there ever? Yes. Yeah. The finale is tonight. It's 90 minutes long.
90 minutes. That's a movie.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Back to the topic we just talked about. Yes. It's funny. Back to that, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about Andor. And I am obsessed. Andor, it's not just good Star Wars.
It's one of my favorite TV shows I've ever seen.
A great TV show. Yeah. I mean,
it's just back to season 2, right?
Yeah.
It is April 22nd. Not that I'm counting down or anything, but I am because it's amazing.
and I think most of the Star Wars shows that Disney Plus has made, by the way, are bad. And I think Andor is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Andor's amazing. The Rogue One was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, Austin, but they did, after the season wrapped up last time, they ran the finale, I think, in theaters. And I went.
Oh.
They did. They actually, they did. It was great. I mean, seeing that on the big screen was amazing. But we digress. All right. Well, let's do the hairstyle. So one of Austin's side gigs, Kenise, is that he has become the white interpreter. This is great because of who we are together, the three of us, because I'm the whitest guy on earth, and he's from Utah.
Listen, Kenise.
Okay. So
Kenise, I just don't. The reason why this started is I don't want other Black creators to like have to do the continued labor of having to continue to explain cultural appropriation to white people.
Okay.
This is so there's I don't know if you've seen like this girl that went viral with the box braids, the white girl who's like her whole shtick is that she should be allowed to have box braids, and then there's a lot. It just seems like this is one of those topics that white people just like refuse to understand. They just
it's really bizarre. Like it's not that difficult.
It's really not. And so I made a video about it, but my audience like had a really hard time with it. And so then I was like, I don't want, and I started off in February and I was like, especially in Black History Month, I don't want Black creators to have to continue
explain to white people.
Yeah. And so I somehow made like this whole series on it. And I was like, I guess I'll just be the white person whisperer here.
Nice.
And
and this lady,
they don't listen to me, so good. Maybe
I know, Kenise, you'll appreciate it because you've got braids. This woman's whole bit is locks. I'm sorry. See, once again, I am the whitest guy.
But I'm just telling you, there's somebody in the chat who's going to be like, wrong.
Oh, I get that all the time. But the running joke on the show is that I'm the most cliche person on earth. I'm a middle-aged white guy with a podcast. So really, you couldn't have much more. Like, 59-year-old guy with a podcast. Like, let's have a podcast. My son busted my balls so hard when I launched On Democracy, like, because I mocked it for years. Like every white guy starts a podcast. He goes, I can't. I'm so disappointed in you. But I digress. But this lady's bit is that Vikings are the ones who invented braids.
No, they didn't.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up. Literally shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
It's not our fault that you're dumb. Okay, I'm not saying it's like even fully your fault because like the education system has failed you, but the fact that you lack context as to like when different cultures existed and exactly how long ago the things in Africa were happening, I'm sorry that you're dumb, and I'm sure that's very difficult, and that you're going to have a long road ahead of you of like learning basic facts or like dates and being able to compare one date to another date. That's going to be like super hard for you to understand, but that's like not the case. And also, bitch, are you a Viking?
That's an excellent question. Austin, is she a Viking?
In the Scandinavian continent, like on the peninsula of Scandinavia, are you doing that?
Kenise, I even had somebody in my comments say, a white person in my comments said, Black people didn't even invent braids. They started in Egypt. And I was like, do you know where the fuck Egypt is?
Where the fuck is Egypt? And your complete conception of Egypt is like based on fucking the Elizabeth Taylor movie where she's Cleopatra. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's offensive that I have to listen. Okay, sorry.
Also,
you didn't think that one would work. Go ahead.
Also, like the thing is, like it's not even about like who invented it. It's not about that. It's about societal power dynamics and how like the interplay of like if one group is getting punished for having a hair that grows naturally a certain way, and another group's like, ooh, wouldn't it be fun for me to like.
Wouldn't that seem edgy and cool if I did that?
Right. And the group that is literally part of the oppressor class, part of the, like, is going, but we don't get punished for it. And I had people saying, but wouldn't it help normalize it if more white people? Exactly. That whole thing. Yeah. And it's like, you've already been doing it. You've already been appropriating it for decades, and it hasn't helped the issue.
You tried having asses, and now you're getting your asses removed because you're trying to look like other people. And it's ridiculous. Stop it. Like, I'm not going to say this phrase often, but it's okay to just be white. Can you just be white? Can you just like be white? It's okay. Just that thing that you do naturally. What if you like kept doing that? And I don't mean oppressing others. I just mean having hair that grows.
No, the good parts, right?
Yeah, the good parts. Keep doing that. It's fine. Like people love white hair. People love it.
I got salt and pepper, girl. See, look at me.
No, salt and pepper.
I know.
That was like
it works.
The thing. Yeah,
it's a thing.
We want to make a man seem smarter, okay? Because men sometimes
which is hard for me because I'm not actually smart at all. That's why I got the glasses. They're fake.
Like,
no, I'm kidding.
Okay, if there's a guy who you're like, he doesn't seem very smart, let's make him seem smarter. You throw on some glasses, you give him salt and pepper on the sides, and suddenly we as a culture believe them. So I'd say go for that, white people. Do it.
Amazing panelists, amazing panels, incredible conversations, and a million laughs. I either walk away fascinated or blown away or crying with tears, and that's not going to change. We already have some incredible panels lined up. I can't wait to share them with you the coming weeks. Again, so if you're familiar, if you found our show just today for the first time, you're finding out what we do. I hope you're sharing it with friends. This is a little bit of a shorter show, but typically we go for like an hour and a half. We talk about all the day's events. That's Too Late to Cancel every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central where I live, wherever time it is. We're usually live right here on the On Democracy YouTube channel, and our Substack channel is fpwellman.substack.com, fpwellman.substack.com. Now, it's totally free to subscribe to our Substack, and I'd love you to do that. But if you upgrade to a paid subscription, you will help us do our work. The paid subscriptions are totally on you for free. We appreciate it. That pays for a lot of the work and the time we put into this effort. We'll be doing some stuff. I think soon we'll start doing some stuff just for paid subscribers, maybe some one-on-one Zooms with me. We just have conversations. But for now, everything's free. There's no exclusions. All of our content's free, but I'd love you to join us at our Substack and all of our social channels. And again, that YouTube channel, On Democracy channel. I just love being a part of the community. Appreciate the support you've given us in the short time we've been on the air with this show, and now the new name and all the excitement that's going with that. We're just having the time of our lives. That's because we get to hang out with you guys every Sunday. Most importantly, I hope you're having a good holiday if you're taking time or just taking a day off to enjoy the spring. Either way, whatever you're doing, we appreciate you being part of the Too Late to Cancel community. I am Fred Wellman, host of Too Late to Cancel, as well as some other shows. I will see you here bright and early next week for Too Late to Cancel on Sunday. Have a great day. Remember, stay in the fight, folks. We can win. Thanks.